Today's dedication is for Terax, who gave me a very generous 1 year's worth of subscriptions on Patreon. Captain Negathrod versus Zera, Sirden, and Kethis. 2 lands and a Mesmeric Orb to get the mill going. Yeah, we're just going to have to hope that we can ramp into our commander, I suppose. Can maybe reanimate something decent off the Mesmeric Orb. Drawing 2 Maddening Cacophony for some more mills, so we'll have to start with the tap land. Would be nice to get down Altar of the Brood straight away, but have to guarantee getting down the Mesmeric Orb first, I think. First spell of the game is Jadar, so making a Decayed Zombie at the end of the turn. Alright, still no ramp, no other land. That is a Sewer Nemesis. Yeah, we'll just go for the Mesmeric Orb here. Sakura Tribelder from Kethis. Getting rid of a couple of token generators here in Lord Skitter and Shatterfang. Goblin Bombardment down for the tokens player, followed by Golgari Rot Farm as a bounce land, so we'll be able to sacrifice this in response to the Decayed. Jadar goes in down the middle, and the Decayed Zombies coming in at us. Goblin Bombardment was pointed for a damage over at Kethis. Alright, skipped a couple of cards there, didn't get into lands, cut your losses, and Talisman wouldn't have been the worst draw. But that did get us into the land we needed, so that's pretty lucky. Alright, so I think we should get Altar of the Brood in, and then we can just get a tap land with the Bloodstained Mire. Yeah, being a turn behind with the tap land on turn 1 isn't good, because we could have had Psychic Corrosion down this turn. Anyway, everyone gets milled 1 every time we have a permanent come into play. Got another creature to choose from there in Karga. And now seeing Lauren and Rishkar in the bin off the back of the orb. And this should be helping out Kethis, you would think, but needs to start getting legendaries into play. So down comes the commander. Can always play Lauren in order to blow up the Mesmeric Orb. We might do that in order to get rid of Goblin Bombardment. Kills 2 birds with 1 stone that way. Protects the orb and gets rid of a good sack outlet. They could kill off Lauren in response, though, in all fairness. Missed the Ringheart Crest came down from the legendary player as well. Mosswort Bridge over here, and then we see a Pitiless Plunderer, which is another means of token generation. Good to see the back of a Triumph of the Hordes here to the mill. And this time it is 1 damage from Jadar and 2 damage to us on the Decayed again. Sacrificing the Decayed Zombie, and again the 1 damage goes over here, making a treasure token thanks to the Pitiless Plunderer. So let's go for landfall into the Altar of the Brood. Alright, now with Excel from Arazka, we don't have Ascend yet, so we can't mill something off the top of the library. I'm thinking we just buy ourselves some time against Kethis, because I don't want to deal with the Lauren. So let's bounce that. And now if we mill some lands here, we can always reanimate this and pull a land out of the graveyard. We do manage to mill a Castle Lochthwain and draw into a Traumatized, so yeah, I think we have to go for that, because Dimir struggles with mana at the best of times, and we just need to be getting into lands as best we can. Altar of the Brood only works on opponents, so let's play out the Castle Lochthwain. And that's all we can do here now, so pass the turn at that. Seen a Cogler and an Azusa hit the bin here. A Nissa, Vastwood Seer as well. Don't know how much longer I'm going to keep covering the graveyards here, because as you can see they keep snapping shut as they tend to on Magic Online. Just a case of trying to keep the commander out of play here. Grapple with the past, mill 3, and return a creature or land from graveyard to hand, so could go after the Lauren there. Returned a snow-covered swamp but played a plains, so into Kethis again. Noteworthy there's a time reversal here, so yeah, that could mean that this player has multiple means of shuffling the graveyards into the library, which could be relevant against us. Guardian Project from the tokens player, looking to draw some more cards. 2-2 goes in down the middle. Then sacrificing with Goblin Bombardment again goes at Kethis, and again making a treasure token. And we see another creature come down from the 2 treasures. That is a Blood Artist. So even more interaction here. Would be good to see the back of the Goblin Bombardment. And they do draw with the Guardian Project. Tapping down the Castle Lochthwain here so that we untap more into the Mesmeric Orb. More chance of hitting a land from the bin. Alright, that's an Exotic Orchard and an Island in the bin. And we draw into an Animate Dead, which means we could go after something from here. There's some decent stuff here. The Cogler onto the Goblin Bombardment maybe? Or do we go after the Black Market Connections with our creature instead of playing a land? That's tempting, but probably not a good idea. Yeah, let's play a land, trigger Altar of the Brood, see what we mill, because if we mill a decent creature, then we can go for our commander here. Oh, Old Gnawbone, alright. That's actually going to tempt me then. Wasn't going to play my commander here, but if we can get Old Gnawbone, then yeah, why the hell not? Want to get our commander down anyway. The problem with being on Magic Online is that people quit at the first sign of adversity, so we might get the Old Gnawbone stolen away from us before we get to swing in with it. But do manage to steal it from the Simic player for now. Have seen the back of Rise of the Dark Realms as well, unfortunately, so yeah, don't have any means of getting that back. Could maybe be worth having Snapcaster Mage in the deck for things like that. The Wanderer comes in, and that will likely go after the Old Gnawbone. Playing a Sir Comrade the Grim as well, which goes nicely with the Mesmeric Orb. Does affect us as well, though. And yep, exiling Old Gnawbone, so I got our commander into play at least. Psychosis Crawler cares about drawing. That is a draw paying card, so yeah, it's whenever this player draws a card. So Comrade the Grim triggering for the first time because a creature must have been milled over here. Yep, a Poison Tip Archer, not that I can show it to you. Poison Tip Archer. And an Elvish Mystic will ping him as well. We'll decimate now, okay, so sees the back of our creature thanks to the enchantment going down. So Comrade the Grim went down, as did Mesmeric Orb. I think a lot of damage has been done with that already. That's pretty spiky. Going after the green mana of this player, I don't think much of that play. Yeah, destroying one of the forests. I think that's a bit much. Anyway, Decayed Zombie swings in at the Wanderer. Nowhere else to turn in sideways, so might as well try his luck. So in response to blocks, the Goblin Bombardment goes on to the Wanderer. Blood Artist goes on to the Kethis player as well. Alright, a Vamp Tutor for us. Might be an idea to hold up during the next turn cycle. Could reanimate a Mind Flayer with the Animate Dead and steal away the Kethis to take away some decent interaction there, because he's going to be able to start casting things soon. There's an Avenger of Zendikar here as well. Yeah, plenty of stuff for us to choose from. Alright, so we'll go for each opponent milling 8 cards, so we can go Animate Dead and Vamp Tutor. Might just go for an Urborg with that and hope that we draw into Cabal Coffers. So we'll do the mill first, because that might dictate what we go for with regards to reanimation. Alright, just a Massacre Girl here and some more mana. A Vorinclex. And just a Perforos here. So we'll go Animate Dead onto our Mind Flayer just for the sake of getting another horror into play, which will mill with Altar of the Brood again. Seen a Solemn Simulacrum over here now. It's probably the Vorinclex we're going to steal. So yeah, holding up the Vamp Tutor, I think we can just target an opponent here. Let's go to the left against the Kethis. Obviously gain control of the commander, and we could have got through anyway, but I'm going to leave this thing alone because there's nothing of ours that they can exile anyway, so we'll encourage them to sacrifice that into the Psychosis Crawler being killed off. Captain Negathrod triggers, that is 3 damage. Milling this player a bit more is a bit risky. There is a Valentin and a Karametra. Don't have any forests or plains in a Dimir deck obviously, so not much point in reanimating that. Alright, so we can look through and see what choices we've got here. Yeah, it's Massacre Girl, Karametra and Valentin. An Artifact Land, Vorinclex. A Scourge the Fleets. We do control 3 islands here, so yeah, that could actually be useful. A Solemn Simulacrum, Arcane Signet, a Perforos. So I think it's definitely Vorinclex. And that obviously means this can be ticked down onto Vorinclex, but it's not our creature anyway, so not too worried about it. Might suggest our opponent has a decent number of Planeswalkers if he wants to see the back of this thing. Yep, so going after the Vorinclex, we see the back of the Wanderer. And then it's Nylea Keen-Eyed. 2 cards in this player's hand. Down to 1 card, Timorat. And noteworthy that this thing can exile cards from graveyards, so we have to be careful with the whole reanimation thing. We all lose a life to the Psychosis Crawler during the draw phase here. And still struggling on the lands. Yeah, just has 1 source of green mana. Still managing to play though, a Venser's Journal. This player's still struggling on lands as well. Hasn't made too many. And there's a Scoot Swarm. We want to see the back of that as soon as possible. Although, like I said, doesn't have too many lands in play. We'll need 6 to make that relevant. Draws to the Guardian Project. Gets him a step closer. And then the 2-2 going to offer up the trade against the Timorat. But taking the damage. Then sacrificing with the bombardment, this time targets the middle player, and it's a blood artist being pointed over there as well. Treasure token being made. The treasures from the pitiless plunderer, keeping our opponent in it, plays out a nature's law in order to make landfall. And then the insect token during the second main phase made from the scoot swarm being sacrificed again straight away. Again pinging the middle player. And now we see a plague crafter, so going to have to sacrifice the Kethis here. And our other opponents are going to have to sacrifice their only creatures. Obviously that will draw with the Guardian Project again as well. And a bunch of creatures dying will trigger the Blood Artist 4 times. Alright, now we're missing cards, we're missing mana. So there's no one good thing to tutor for really. I was thinking maybe Ancient Tomb so that we could go for both the Corrosion and the Sewer Nemesis. It would be nice to be able to go for the Notion Thief, but Goblin Bombardment can soon deal with that. So I'm thinking we try to generate value. Could go for Kindred Discovery to draw cards, which is probably the better idea, but I'm thinking of just going for Sakashima here so that we can start really reanimating stuff. So yeah, let's go. Heart overhead. Sakashima copies the Captain. Mills with Altar of the Brood once. So we've got Sovereign, an island, and another land off that. So we're going to have to go for the mill with the attacks here. I think I'll dedicate everything to the left because this player is going to be rammed full of legendaries. If he gets into a mass reanimation spell, then we're going to be pretty screwed. Alright, so that is a bunch of mill, thanks to having 2 of our captains in play. Just 37 cards left in the library by turn 7. And then it's 2 triggers on the stack, so the first one can go after the artifact. There is a Carador as well, which is probably going to be an intelligent thing to play. As to Shah and Varolz as well. Nothing to choose from the other players, so definitely grab a Carador. And we'll get the Sky Sovereign. Then it's 3 damage to a creature. It's going to have to be the Scoot Swarm before that goes off. Like to get rid of the Plunderer, but that has 4 toughness, unfortunately. So that triggers the Pitiless Plunderer and the Blood Artist for a drain and a trigger. Kethis back into play again. We'll be able to reanimate something this turn. Waiting on the Primeval Rebirth or whatever that Orzhov card is called. Mass Reanimation for Legends. Exiling Varolz and Azusa. And like I said, with 4 mana available, just deciding to fix some more mana with Nissa Vastwood Seer. That will flip round this turn at least. So playing the land straight away and flipping it into Nissa Sage Animist, which allows him into more ramp in the form of a Yasharn. So I'm glad I didn't go for the Ancient Tomb, because this would switch that off, I think. So Comrade the Grim back into play again. And we're seeing a bunch of 4 toughness creatures against the Sky Sovereign, unfortunately. Fencer's Journal nets a decent chunk of life. But the Simic player just passing through the turn, hopefully he's not struggling, not having double green. Zera into play for the first time. Hitting the Nissa with the 3/3 flyer. And the 2/2 Decayed goes in down the middle. An Egg counter going on to the zombie token from the Zera. And it obviously does die to Decayed, so going to make an insect and draw. Drain, treasure. And so Comrade will ping him as well. And then it's on to our turn. Alright, that's excellent. Drawing to a Toxrill. Can't afford it, unfortunately. Really struggled on mana this game. No creatures to play from the bin either. So Carador can just be tapped into the Sky Sovereign, I suppose. And we'll just turn everything into the right against this player. His blocks aren't that incredible. He's only got 4 small creatures to block with. That can blow up the Zera before that gets too out of hand, triggering the death triggers again. So chumping the Sky Sovereign with an insect and deciding to take the 8 damage from the horrors, so we'll take some mill here. Now I was thinking of going for Traumatize onto this player, but the Sir Comrade is obviously dealing damage to us as well, so maybe we just have to go for 15 cards being turned upside down from this guy's library. Obviously opens up a whole world of things to do next turn, but his mana isn't too incredible. So Comrade's still triggering to the Captain Negathrod triggers, hitting a decent number of creatures there. So let's see what we've got to choose from. Viscera Seer, Tender Shoot Dryad is a good one. Zulaport Cutthroat is a good one when we're at 15 life. Lagomos. Yeah, so maybe we go for the tokens and life gain. And that would mean this turn we can go for the Sewer Nemesis. playing into a board wipe, but we don't really have a whole lot of choice here. And this way we do get more blockers in the way, because these things can start swinging in at us quite soon. So Sewer Nemesis into play. We will target this player. That makes this a 49-49 with Menace. So Comrade the Grim sees more creatures get milled thanks to the Altar of the Brood, one of which was an old Rutstein, and over here it was Mahadi. Alright, and that player decided to scoop. That's exactly why I wasn't targeting him. He had a rough game, and you do have to play around the fact that your opponents will scoop before the game's over, which does make this deck particularly bad on Magic Online, because players will do that out of the blue. So yeah, we'll go for our original choice of the Zulaport Cutthroat and the Tendershoot Dryad being reanimated here. And we do have the City's Blessing now, unlike before, so these will be 3/3s that are coming into play. Just need to hope that our opponent can't go off with the Sir Comrade. Not worthy that Tendershoot Dryad is going to trigger the Altar of the Brood, which could hurt us in the long run. And it did trigger Sir Comrade there. Nissa going to draw a card. 6 cards in the Kethis player's hand. So Kethis being activated will exile a couple of legendaries, triggering the Sir Comrade a couple of times. He might be able to get rid of us just by exiling stuff from his bin. Still needs to get rid of this player after he gets rid of us. Massacre Girl and Old Stick Fingers get exiled. So now we can cast things to his heart's content. And there we go, that's what we've been waiting for. Primeval's Glorious Rebirth, that's what I was talking about before. So now going to mill a card into the Sewer Nemesis. 23 will be left in the library. And mills a creature, so Sir Comrade knocks us down to 9. Might be too late for this Zulaport Cutthroat. Yeah, it's an unlucky matchup for us. We're playing mill, and we're playing mill up against a player that wants to see mill. And he didn't do too good a job of milling himself, in all honesty, so we've really helped him along there. So there we go, Sir Comrade going to easily take us out. Our opponent reanimating pretty much his entire graveyard there. So Rishkar putting a couple of plus counters on the 2 All-Stars here. Lauren going to blow up the Guardian Project as opposed to the Goblin Bombardment. And Kogler goes after the Blood Artist. So down we go. It would have been -5 we go down to with the Sir Comrade. Playing out a Sato Wayfinder, which will get some ramping with the Karametra. And now a bunch of big smashy creatures going wide, and our opponent can only block with 2 of them. And any one of them would take our opponent out. So yeah, we were just eager for a Lightning Greaves onto that old Gnawbone in order to get us some mana or something like that. We were just really struggling on mana in typical Dimir fashion. But you got to see the type of thing that the deck wants to do. Want to just sit back with our multiple commanders, mill everything, and then cherry pick from the best stuff to reanimate. Ideally we'd get a whole bunch of copies of our commander into play, but it's difficult to fit a heap of copy stuff in the deck, as well as mill, as well as interaction. Yeah, getting the balance just right is a bit funny, but hopefully you all enjoyed it anyway. I think it was a fun game. Huge thank you to the patrons for their support as ever. I'm tribalkai. Thank you for watching.